is January 15th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today at the Big Book, we are going to continue our journey through Bill's story by reading page 5. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on step 2. We'll be reading page 28. And of course, we'll read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, I hope y'all are doing well this morning, my friends. Life is good over here. Got my Grogu Baby Yoda cup. Most people know him as Baby Yoda. But anyway, it's filled with a bunch of coffee, so life is good there. Flyers won last night. I think all is good with the world. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading, there was the stock market crash. Bill was living with a friend until his drinking kind of caught up with him and his friend had to let him go. He's having a hard time maintaining a job. As a matter of fact, it says here, no one could guess that I was to have no real employment for 5 years and hardly draw a sober breath. His life is becoming pretty unmanageable right now. And it's going to continue to get worse. It gets worse before it gets better. So we're on page 5 of Bill's story. Liquor ceased to be a luxury. It became a necessity. Bathtub gin, 2 bottles a day, and often 3 got to be routine. Sometimes a small deal would net a few $100s, and I'd pay my bills at the bars and delicatessens. This went on endlessly, and I began to waken very early in the morning, shaking violently. A tumbler full of gin followed by half a dozen bottles of beer would be required if I were to eat any breakfast. Nevertheless, I still thought that I could control the situation. And there were periods of sobriety which renewed my wife's hope. Gradually, things got worse. The house was taken over by the mortgage holder. My mother-in-law died. My wife and father-in-law became ill. Then I got a promising business opportunity. Stocks were at a low point in 1932, and I had somehow formed a group to buy. I was to share generously in the profits. Then I went on a prodigious bender, and that chance vanished. I woke up. This had to be stopped. I saw that I could not take so much as one drink. I was through forever. Before then, I had written lots of sweet promises, but my wife happily observed that this time I meant business, and so I did. Shortly afterward, I came home drunk. There had been no fight. Where had been my high resolve? I simply didn't know. It hadn't even come to mind. Someone had pushed a drink my way, and I had taken it. Was I crazy? I began to wonder, for such an appalling lack of perspective seemed near being just that. Renewing my resolve, I tried again. Some time passed and confidence began to be replaced by cocksureness. I could laugh at the Jim Mills. Now I had what it takes. One day I walked into a cafe to telephone. In no time, I was beating on the bar, asking myself how it happened. As the whiskey rose to my head, I told myself I would manage better next time. But I might as well get good and drunk then. And I did. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Page 28. Consider next the plight of those who once had faith but have lost it. There will be those who have drifted into indifference, those filled with self-sufficiency who have cut themselves off, those who become prejudiced against religion, and those who are downright defiant because God has failed to fulfill their demands. Can AA experience tell all these they may still find faith that works? Sometimes AA comes harder to those who have lost or rejected faith than those who never had any faith at all. For they think that they have tried faith and found it wanting. They have tried the way of faith and the way of no faith. Since both ways have proved bitterly disappointing, they've concluded that there is no place whatever for them to go. The roadblocks of indifference, fancied self-sufficiency, prejudice, and defiance often prove more solid and formidable for these people than any erected by unconvinced agnostic or even the militant atheist. Religion says that the existence of God can be proved. The agnostic says it can't be proved, and the atheist claims proof of non-existence of God. Obviously, the dilemma of the wanderer from faith is that of profound confusion. He thinks himself lost to the comfort of any conviction at all. He cannot attain even in a small degree the assurance of the believer, the agnostic, or the atheist. He is the bewildered one. Any number of AAs can say to the drifter, yes, we were diverted from our childhood faith too. The overconfidence of youth was too much for us. Of course we were glad that good homes and religious training had given us certain values. We were still sure that we ought to be fairly honest, tolerant, and just, that we ought to be ambitious and hardworking. We became convinced that such simple rules of fair play and decency would be enough. "24 hours a day, January 15th. AA thought for the day. The AA program is a way of life. It's a way of living, and we have to learn to live the program if we're going to stay sober. The 12 steps in the book are like guideposts. They point the direction in which we have to go. But all members of the group have to find their own best way to live the program. We don't all do it exactly alike. Whether by quiet time in the morning, meetings, working with others, or spreading the word, we have to learn to live the program. Has the AA way become my regular, natural way of living? Meditation for the day. I will relax and not get tense. I will have no fear because everything will work out in the end. I will learn soul balance and poise in a vacillating, changing world. I will claim God's power and use it because if I don't use it, it will be withdrawn. As long as I get back to God and replenish my strength after each task, no work can be too much. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may relax and that God's strength will be given to me. I pray that I may subject my will to God's will and be free from all tenseness. Daily Reflection, January 15th. An unsuspected inner resource. With few exceptions, our members find that they have tapped an unsuspected inner resource, which they presently identify with their own conception of a power greater than themselves. Alcoholics Anonymous, pages 567 and 568. From my first days in AA, as I struggled for sobriety, I found hope in these words from our founders. I often ponder the phrase, they have tapped an unsuspected inner resource. How, I ask myself, can I find the power within myself, since I am so powerless? In time, as the founders promised, it came to me. I have always had the choice between goodness and evil, between unselfishness and selfishness, between serenity and fear. That power greater than myself is an original gift that I did not recognize until I achieved daily sobriety through living the AA's 12 steps. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading. And oh my gosh, there was some great stuff there. Real quick, go into the big book, Bill's story. I don't know if you heard it, but let me go back and just read a couple of lines here. I woke up. I saw I could not take so much as one drink. I was through forever. Before then, I had written lots of sweet promises. I meant business, and so I did. I know a very trusted friend, when he worked with me through the big book, he had me underline all the I's that are on that page 5, and there's a ton of them. The obsession of the mind to drink, for Bill and for me when I was drinking, it was stronger than my willpower. And Bill here, he's really trying to willpower his way to sobriety. And, there were periods of time, as he says on the top of page 6, where he'd be sober for a little bit, and he'd think, oh, I've got this beat. I got this. And then in no time, here's the line, in no time, I was beating on the bar, asking myself how it happened. Man, I can relate to Bill right there. That was me. And of course, I didn't realize till much later that alcohol for me was cunning, baffling, and powerful. And some of my friends add impatient. Willpower, at least for me, and at least for Bill W., and a few others that you're going to see in this book, willpower wasn't enough. And that's why step 1 is a surrender kind of step. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. And I love how the steps are arranged in order, right? But that's the foundation step, realizing finally, at least for me, I can't do this. I need help. My life is messed up, and this is making it significantly worse. I can't manage this anymore. And then I love the daily reflection real fast. Man, it's beautiful. In time, as the founder's promise, it came to me. I have always had the choice between goodness and evil, between unselfishness and selfishness, between serenity and fear. That power, then, greater than myself, is an original gift that I didn't recognize until I achieved daily sobriety. As I've said many times, I believed in a higher power before I was sober. What I find beautiful about this passage is that my higher power has always been there. But the alcohol in my life and just the selfishness and self-centeredness that manifested itself in alcoholism had kind of given me tunnel vision, and eventually just narrowed that tunnel vision to where I couldn't even see anymore. Couldn't see any of the beauty. And now that I'm sober, that tunnel vision begins to expand and expand and expand. And now I see my higher power working in all areas of my life and the lives of those around me. Another one of my trusted friends would always tell me, hey, Rob, look up, keep your head up. Look down at your feet occasionally. See the beautiful wildflowers right beside your feet that your higher power has put there. Look for the good and you'll find it. And right here, as the daily reflection says, you always have a choice. Today, in this set of 24 hours, you can choose between good and evil, between unselfishness and selfishness, between serenity and fear. And okay, you made the wrong choice. What are you going to do about it, Rob? For me, I try to get on my knees, ask for forgiveness, make those amends, try to come up with strategies to prevent that from happening again, and get right back on it without beating myself up, which is an absolute waste of time. And go out there and help somebody else. How did I learn these things? Well, the steps. Step 10, maintenance step right there, right? Continue to take that personal inventory. For me, that's a lifetime. And often, many times throughout one single day. Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. And then step 11 and 12. Pray, meditate, be of service, apply this to every area of my life. These are lifetime steps, but they are steps that are so worth it. And when I practice these steps to the best of my ability, this last line is true. That power greater than myself, that original gift I didn't recognize, I begin to experience at a personal level that makes me want to keep going. And I thought sobriety was just about not drinking. So anyways, my friends, thanks for letting me ramble on there. Obviously, take what you want from my personal experience and leave the rest. Lord, don't ever take what I say as gospel. I'm just sharing what works for me. And as always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect or denomination. I'm just a friendless lifeboat of recovery. But if you are sober today, my friend, I hope you know that you're a miracle. And those who love you are very proud of you, and I'm proud of you. I know the struggle. And if you're not sober, I want you to know that you're a miracle as well, just by being alive and being who you are. And you are worthy of recovery. I pray that you'll get the help that you need today. And you don't have to do it alone. As I said yesterday, there are so many outlets, so many resources you can turn to now. Help's out there if you really want it. And I pray that you'll take that first step. But my friends, if we are given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely hope to see you right back here tomorrow.